Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tempe City Council regular council meeting. Item number 1 is call to order. Council meetings can be watched in real time via Cox Cable Channel 11 and at tempe.gov/tempe11. Members of the public may also attend the meeting virtually through Microsoft Teams. If you have signed up to speak on items later on in the agenda, please know that as the presiding officer, I have the discretion to introduce items out of the regular order as listed on the agenda. I may change the order of items from time to time to accommodate scheduling, to allow us to address items with a large number of speaker cards, so those wishing to speak on those items don't have to wait until later in the meeting, or to otherwise expedite the business of the meeting. If you wish to speak on an agenda item and you haven't filled out a speaker card yet, please make sure to fill out and submit your completed card to the city clerk prior to the item coming forward for council discussion. I will call your name when it is your turn for public comment. With that said, I'm going to move on to item number 2, moment of silence. I'd now like to invite everyone who's willing and able to join me in standing for a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's agenda has a number of items that the City Council must consider in order to conduct city business. Guidelines for conduct at City Council meetings are on the table near the entrance for those in attendance at tonight's meeting. We will now play a video with the proper protocol for ensuring the appropriate conduct at City Council meetings.
City of Tempe welcomes public comment at this time. Disruptive behavior will not be allowed. Continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. We need to be able to hear everyone in the room. Behavior that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of any city council meeting is not helpful and is not permitted. This includes behavior both inside and outside of the council chambers. Should individuals inside the council chambers become disruptive so that city business is not able to be conducted, the mayor will first ask that the individuals allow city business to be completed. There will be time for public comment during the call to the audience portion of the meeting. If no cooperation, the mayor will issue a verbal warning and let them know that the continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. If there is still no cooperation, the mayor will issue a second verbal warning and let them know that the continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. If there is no cooperation after asking and 2 verbal warnings, then the mayor will ask security officers to remove only those individuals who are causing the disruption. Security personnel should not engage in any way, but only escort them from the council chambers. If individuals refuse to leave, security personnel shall warn them that they are trespassing and that the next step will be arrest by a Tempe police officer. Tempe officers may have to arrest if individuals refuse to leave. Charges for trespass and disorderly conduct may apply, as well as other charges. Should anyone be asked to be removed, the mayor will recess the meeting.
Thank you very much. We will now play a video conveying the City of Tempe's native land acknowledgement statement.
We wish to acknowledge that Tempe is the home of the native people who have inhabited this landscape since time immemorial. These ancestral lands of the O'odham, known as Pima, Peeposh, known as the Maricopa, and their ancestors extend far beyond our city. This land continues to be spiritually connected to the O'odham of the Salt River Pima, Maricopa Indian Community, and Gila River Indian Community. We accept the responsibility of stewarding those places and solemnly pledge to consider this commitment in every action.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have item number 4, meeting minutes. Tonight I'll be assisted by Councilmember Chin. Councilmember Chin.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to submit for acceptance items 4B1 through 4B8.
It's been moved by Councilmember Chin and seconded by Councilmember Keating. Please.
Yes, my thing's not coming up.
Okay, and that item passes 7-0. Next up, item 4, acceptance of board, commission, and committee meeting minutes. Councilmember Chin.
No, that's what I just submitted.
Oh, that's right. That is what you just did. Never mind. Forget that. Thank you. You know, when you're so used to doing it one way. Thank you, Councilmember Chin, for catching that. Which brings me to item number 5A1, Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month Proclamation. And let's see here. Are Jacqueline Webster and Tim Birch here? All right. So this proclamation reads, whereas teen dating violence is a serious public health problem that is common among adolescents and young adults. 1 in 3 U.S. teens will experience physical, sexual, or emotional abuse from someone they're in a relationship with before becoming adults. And nearly half, or 43%, of U.S. college women report experiencing violent or abusive dating behaviors. And whereas high school students who witness, experience, or perpetuate physical violence in a relationship are more likely to use drugs and alcohol, are at greater risk of suicide, and are much more likely to carry patterns of abuse into future relationships. And whereas educating young people about red flags and root causes of violence, building skills for healthy relationships, and changing attitudes that support violence can help prevent teen dating violence. And whereas nearly half of teens who experience dating violence report that incidents of abuse took place at school. And whereas the City of Tempe Care 7 victim advocates and youth specialists are working in our community to educate and support teens and their families. Our Family Advocacy Center provides a welcoming and confidential space to connect families with resources, assist through continuum of care, and start the healing process. And whereas the City of Tempe urges all Arizonans to work toward ending teen dating violence, this can be done by empowering young people to develop healthier relationships, assisting victims in assessing the information and supportive services they need, creating better resources for young people in need, implementing effective intervention and prevention policies in schools, and engaging in discussions with family members and peers to promote awareness and prevention of the quiet epidemic of teen dating violence. Now, therefore, I, Corey Woods, Mayor of the City of Tempe, Arizona, do hereby declare February 2025 as Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month.
Smiles, don't blink. 1, 2, 3. One more like that. 1, 2, 3.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, next up, item 5B, City Manager's Reports and Announcements. Madam City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No announcements this evening.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn then to item number 6, public. According to the Arizona Open Meeting Law, the City Council may only discuss, respond to, or take action on matters elsewhere on this agenda for discussion and legal action. The purpose of the open call to the public is to allow individuals to address the City Council on any issue within the jurisdiction of the City Council. No person shall speak more than once, and there is a limit of 3 minutes per speaker. In the interest of allowing all members of the public to have an opportunity to speak, in the case that there is such a large number of persons intending to speak during the meeting that it may deprive other members of the public from the reasonable opportunity to speak, the mayor may limit each speaker to less than 3 minutes. Speakers present at the podium must state their name and city of residence and provide a speaker card. Members of the public shall refrain from making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks and from becoming boisterous while addressing the City Council or while attending the meeting. Speakers will be taken first come, first serve in the order in which the cards are received. Speakers' visual aids and appearances by phone or recordings are not allowed. The City Council is prohibited by state law from discussing, responding to, or taking action on matters raised during the call to the public, even if asked to do so by a member of the public, so long as the subject discussed by the speaker is not listed as a specific agenda item for Council's consideration, discussion, and legal action. Individual members of the Council may respond to criticism made by speakers, ask staff to review a matter, or request a matter be placed on a future agenda. With that said, I have some speakers here this evening. I've got 8 on the list, and I'm going to start with Leidy Spitak. Oh, virtual.
Hello.
Yes, please state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Leidy Spitak. I am a lifelong resident of Tempe. Grew up here. I'm here as usual to discuss the urban camping ordinance and support of mutual aid groups that support houseless people in Tempe. I'd like to urge you guys to stop enforcing strictly the urban camping ban that illegalizes not only homelessness, but also just being seen in public parks, public places with anything that can be deemed living materials. This includes blankets, laying down things like blankets. Even for a picnic, this could be deemed living materials technically, and so it's illegal. We've already seen cops confiscating such harmless items as blankets many times in the winter cold that luckily just recently passed. It's getting warmer now, but not at night still. And they're threatening citations against any Tempe citizen that provides resources to our houseless neighbors. So you all need to stop targeting any mutual aid organizations that have the guts to actually do this, to help our homeless friends in the meantime before they can get the shelter that they need. You guys pride yourselves so much in dealing with homelessness in Tempe, then you should allow these organizations to continue functioning as they need to. You also need to keep your police in check to prevent them from targeting, citing, warning any people who are at the parks, just doing what they can to make people's lives a tiny bit better, because we're the people who are offering what you guys are failing to offer. We're offering safe and aid that just meets people where they're at. We've helped countless people get into shelter, get into recovery programs, but there's just never enough space in all of these programs, whether they can't get in because they have pets or health issues or addiction or anything else that's preventing them from accessing these resources. Then there's still no reason to prevent your citizens from just volunteering their time to get people food, dog food, blankets, water, etc. And overall, just we expect you to do better and not continue doing this. Thank you. That's all I have for today.
Thank you. The next speaker I have this evening is Judy Suter. Please come. Residents, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Judy Suter, and I live in the Shalimar neighborhood of Tempe. I'm here on behalf of myself and my neighbors to let you know that we oppose the rezoning of the Shalimar Golf Course to allow high-density housing to replace the beautiful community green space that the golf course provides. I moved to the Valley 42 years ago, and I've owned houses in Chandler and Gilbert, but I found my true home when I moved to Tempe 18 years ago. For the first time, I feel like I really know my neighbors, which is ironic since we all live behind 8-foot walls. But the neighborhood really feels like a community, and I believe that Shalimar is what makes the difference. It's a hub for community events. The restaurants have such a neighborhood feel. Food trucks attract neighbors that are inviting to families as well as golfers. It's a wonderful gathering place with a great view. I've attended a couple celebrations of life at the course. There are so many memories there for longtime Tempe residents. I haven't attended a wedding there, but I could just imagine the pictures with the lovely green backdrop. Recently, I've been trying to learn to golf, and I recognize what a gem has been in my own backyard all this time. I just love walking the course on a warm, sunny day and enjoying the green grass and the established trees and the sounds of birds. I've seen birds in the trees there that I haven't seen at my own backyard bird feeders. And it saddens me to think that this nature space could be replaced by high-density housing. It would be as if all of the community and the memories would just disappear in a tangle of concrete, traffic, and people. I know that the golf course is closing and that the owners have every right to sell the land, but rezoning changes everything. If there's even a chance that the land could remain a public green space, then please keep this option open. Vote no zoning. Thank you for letting me share my thoughts.
Thank you. The next speaker I have is Arnab Kabir. Is Arnab Kabir here? The next speaker I have is virtual, David Sokolowski.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
My name is David Sokolowski. I live in Tempe. Tempe should be working with our representatives on starter homes. The League of Cities shouldn't decide state policy. Why does Tempe need state intervention to adopt reforms? Why do we care if the STR takes the form of a house or an apartment or an ADU or a starter home? Did you know cul-de-sac operates STRs? You can sleep in the ADU and that would be legal, but why would we want that? You can still support efforts to regulate STRs, but blocking starter homes isn't going to change it. We can't wait for more homes to be converted. The more profitable it becomes, the more likely it is to happen. Starter homes can help prevent that, but we need to saturate the market. Increasing the supply is beneficial, even if some are used as STRs. It's been years since Tempe approved Tempe microestates, but the city has failed to build more. Tempe suffers from chronic NIMBYism, and people are fear-mongering by calling them fire starter homes. I think it's strange to regulate the types of housing that has the smallest impact on the neighborhoods. Is this really about water? Tempe approves luxury apartments with 4 bedrooms and hundreds of units, with pools and dog parks. Tempe microestates is safe, and we don't need them to solve every problem. We don't need a guarantee these units are affordable. Section 8 vouchers could live in them. The price per square foot in Tempe is $300, and I don't think people will pay full price for half a home. Small lots with small homes would be more affordable. Starter homes are the right size and for the right price. Can you guarantee regulating STRs will make housing affordable? Just because we put a house on the market doesn't mean it will be affordable. Tempe needs thousands of new units, and adding a few hundred would only be worth 60 days. At this point, you're wasting more effort than it's worth. You're going to fight STRs just to save 60 days? The only power I have is to complain. I'm not saying it's very effective. It's been 5 years and we still don't have a density bonus program. The state won't allow Tempe to adopt inclusionary zoning without one. You won't support the starter homes, you won't pass a density bonus program, and you limit the density of affordable housing projects like Food City. I'm very critical of the city's choices, and I know Tempe is capable of doing more. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. The next speaker I have, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, is Stephen Bursey. Was it Bursey?
Nope, you got it right.
Ah! Look at that. Please state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Stephen Bursey. I'm a resident of Tempe, Arizona. I was a teacher for 15 years, a principal for 20 years. I'm more used to being on that side of the problem than this side, but it's all right. I think that you don't, I'm speaking about Shalimar. I don't think that you want to rezone that. I think that you want to keep the 44 acres of green space green and not turn into an apartment complex. How do I know that? Well, because you sent me this. This is Sella Park renovation. And you probably didn't personally send it to me, but you know what I'm talking about. It says you can put 2 new ramadas, landscaping, irrigation, lake restoration. Great, I'm all for that. But the question that comes to my mind is why? Why bother? Just sell it. Just rezone it tonight, sell it, and we can put probably, I'm guessing, 100 and something apartments in there. But you don't do that, do you? What about Kiwanis Park? Man, we could get, I measured it the other day, I think we get like 7,500 apartments in that if we just rezoned it and sold it. But you don't do that, do you? You know why? Because you believe in green spaces. You know that cities are more than homes and apartments. They're places to play golf. People who play at Shalimar don't have a lot of money, I can tell you that. A lot of golf skills either, I can tell you that. Thank heavens that many years ago, someone sitting where you sit now had the foresight and wisdom to say, let's keep the city as green as we can. Kiwanis Park was born. That's a beautiful park. That's an amazing. So is selling the other parks that we have. Bigger is not always better. In 1981, I hitchhiked from here to Montreal, Canada to watch the All-Star game. It was the most boring baseball game I've ever seen in my life. But the night before that, I went to Jerry Park, which is where a lot of the Olympic events were held. It's huge, just huge. It's one of the biggest parks city parks in the world. And after the Olympics was over, they were going to redo it and put all kinds of business and housing and things like that in there. But the city fought it, and they kept it as a park. So I'm there the night before the baseball game, and I'm up on a little hill, and I'm looking down, and I'm literally looking at like 30 baseball fields or softball fields. And I had this revelation, like, oh my gosh, what would those people be doing if they weren't out there playing softball? Not that I like to play softball, but I'm thinking, wow, this is keeping so many people occupied, so many people busy. Growing up in Memphis, I wasn't the model teenager, okay? There wasn't a lot of things for us to do where I lived. It was a very poor neighborhood, and we did things we shouldn't have done. I'm saying that the more that we have for kids to do, That's what you guys were talking about earlier. I think that's what we should do, keep the places as green as we can. I know that bigger is not always better. Oh, was that me?
Yeah, yeah.
You gotta
sorry,
be
that's
kidding me.
time.
I didn't get the good part. All right, well, thank you for listening. I hope that you vote against rezoning, and have a good night.
Thank you, appreciate it. The next speaker I have is Michael Doyle. Please come forward, state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Hey, my name is Michael Doyle. I live in Tempe. Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak. Just kind of want to speak to the legacy of Shalimar. My grandparents, I grew up, I had an interesting nature as a childhood, and I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house. They lived in the Shalimar neighborhood, and that's where I learned how to play golf. I always kind of dreamed of living on Shalimar, and 12 years ago I got that opportunity. I live on the golf course now. I met my wife 7 years ago. Portion of our wedding was at Shalimar. We have 2 toddlers now. Trying to teach them how to play golf on Shalimar. I love that golf course. Sorry, guys. My toddlers are obsessed with foxes because of the kit foxes that live all over Shalimar. We got a lot of good memories with the owls and the eagles there, and it's a great place. It's a very magical place. I knew I wanted to raise my family there, and I'm doing it now, and I really love Shalimar. And I still have the trophies. My grandmother was a champion of Shalimar. She was the golfer of the family. The rest of us aren't very good at golf, but we try. But even if it's not a golf course, whatever it is, you know, green spaces are wonderful. And I just want to let you guys know, thank you for letting me talk, and hope you guys vote no for the rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker I have this evening is Tom Brown. Please come forward, state your city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, staff, council, and mayor. My name is Tom Brown. I live in South Tempe. I was going to start with a joke about, but our national politics are no longer joke material. Our federal government's rife with bullies, and our state government has some minor league bullies, minor league goons as well, who will, for the second year, try to outlaw even the initials DEI. Again, not a subject for city council yet. Closer to home, Maricopa County has been voting rights so far. We want to thank that organization and hope they can solve the Chase Field lease. But here we are at our local city government, and our local subject that I want to talk about is the Tempe parks. So first, let's agree that parks are open spaces for public use. Way back in 1981, when some of you were still in kindergarten, I had a picnic lunch in Kiwanis Park with 6 or 8 of my coworkers. It was my last day on my second job there, here in Tempe. So this picnic lunch consisted of submarine sandwiches on the berm. We had no permit. We had no need for a ramada. We had no problems. We left no litter, and all we drank was sodas. My understanding is that events like these, with people who have a community connection of some sort, and not a random public, are both tolerated and normal. Okay. Parks are used by people in all walks of life. We have solo joggers at Kiwanis Park, families with children in the playgrounds, dog walkers, some religious solicitors, itinerant carpenters, corporate picnics in the larger models with reservations. Now, if an unhoused person is in the park, we need to respect they are people and they are using the park. That is the real world. To criminalize a homeless person is both impractical and flat wrong. The reasons for the housing status are varied, and it is not for us to judge. The presence of unhoused, if the presence of unhoused people makes you uncomfortable, it's time to acknowledge the reality, volunteer, and grow some empathy, not just complain and turn our police officers into enforcers of some social expectations. I will say I sense a huge public support for the transitional housing efforts that Tempe has completed, and the construction of affordable homes that we hope to see, and the progress made with Hometown for All. Let's do more of that and less of hassling people. You, the council, and the mayor have the power and should take action to adjust public policy in a humane way. We know that any person or group in a position of authority will have a problem admitting to mistakes and making changes. That's human. Recognizing our own mistakes Change is also normal. We do not expect the council or the city staff to be perfect. We should not cast the first stone. We do challenge you to examine what's going on and realize that there are problems, that problems do exist. You cannot simply shove people out to Apache Junction or into Phoenix to 9th Avenue. People need to be loved where they are and as they are. Helping people by providing a crime. I'll wrap up.
Okay.
It is kindness. It costs us nothing to smile and say hello. The next few years will be very, very difficult. Let's make Tempe a safer and more humane place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Appreciate it. The next card I have is from Sean McNaughton. Please come forward, state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sean McNaughton. Thank you for having the opportunity to speak with me today. I'm here regarding the after-hours construction at the Rambler on 1020 East Apache Boulevard. As a resident of the Carmen, just 15 feet from the site, I wanted to share how this project is impacting my quality of life. Living on the 2nd floor, I have thin walls that provide little sound insulation, and the constant noise from machinery, hammering, and even workers just talking at night has made it nearly impossible to get a good night's sleep. The approved construction schedule indicates starting at midnight, and all other work starts at 2 a.m., continuing at night, which is not only disruptive, it's unbearable. As a full-time student, this relentless noise has taken a heavy toll on my life. The lack of sleep has left me with being exhausted and overwhelmed, making it difficult to concentrate during lectures and study sessions. The situation has also not only affected my academic life, as my job search as well. As a college student who relied on food stamps and is still dependent on government assistance, I urgently needed employment to cover my rent and living expenses. The inability to secure a job has resulted in the loss of my food stamp benefits and other financial burdens. During interviews, I struggle to articulate my thoughts clearly, and my mind is clouded by fatigue and stress. This is not just a minor inconvenience. It feels like this is a significant barrier to my future, jeopardizing my dreams and aspirations. I come to you here today as my last resort. I have reached out to various different channels, including the 313, my Carmen office, and in the building inspections manager, Connor Lynch, and most recently, Layton's construction superintendent, Brian Parker, who is conducting the construction. My experience was less than satisfactory when I expressed my concerns about the noise and asked if there was any way to possibility of moving the construction to a more reasonable hour. Mr. Parker was dismissive and rude, and he stated the fact that they needed to pour concrete at night, and even asked, how do you think your apartment complex was built? I urge the city council to consider the impact of these late night construction activities on residents like myself. We deserve to live in a peaceful environment. I propose that construction be allowed until 10 p.m. and resume at 5 p.m. I believe that these times are adequate to their construction. This adjustment would not only balance the needs of the project, but will also balance the well-being of the community. Thank you for your time, and I hope that we can address these concerns to ensure that it can be a great place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McNaughton. Really quickly, too, before you go, Jeff Tamiulevich, can you raise your hand? So Jeff is our Community Development Director. I'd love to have you have a conversation with him to talk about the issues that you've raised tonight, and you can obviously talk about them in more detail. But if you could connect with him before you leave tonight, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, no, of course. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, that is all the cards I have this evening. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address the city? If so, can you please get my attention? All right, seeing none, I will close that portion of the meeting and move on to item number 7, which is the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda will be considered as a group and will be enacted with one motion by the City Council unless an item is removed for separate consideration. Members of the public may remove public hearing items for separate consideration. Public hearing items are designated as public hearing item at the beginning of the item title. Council members may remove any item for separate consideration or to declare a conflict of interest. If a council member would like to declare a conflict at this time, the city clerk will provide the council member with a disclosure. If you wish to speak on a public hearing item, please fill out a speaker card and submit your completed card to the city clerk prior to the agenda item coming forward for council discussion. I will call your name when it is your turn for public comment. This evening, the consent agenda is miscellaneous items 7A1 through 7A3, awards of bids and contracts, items 7B1 through 7B12, and resolutions, items 7C1 through 7C2. Once again, any agenda item designated as public hearing item can be removed by a member of the public for separate consideration. If anyone would like to have a public hearing item removed, please get my attention now. Okay, seeing none, I will look to my council colleagues to see if there are any agenda items that you'd like to have removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration. So moved. Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Hodge. Do I have a second? Second. Seconded by Councilmember Adams. Please vote. Yes. And that item passes 7-0. Next up, moving to item number 8, non-consent agenda. All items listed on the non-consent agenda will be considered separately. Agenda items scheduled for and first hearing will be heard but will not be voted upon at this meeting. Agenda items scheduled for second public hearing and final adoption will be voted upon tonight. Council members who may have a conflict of interest may abstain from voting on a matter, and the city clerk will provide the council members with a disclosure form at this time. Here's 8A, miscellaneous items, bids, contracts, and resolutions. First item under the section is 8A1, which is to approve the utilization of a one-year State of Arizona cooperative contract with Ferguson Enterprises Incorporated, Paul's Ace Hardware, Voss Lighting, and WW Granger for maintenance, repair, and operations equipment and parts. Council members, any comments or discussion? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion? So moved. Been moved by Councilmember Keating and seconded by Councilmember Chin. Please vote. And that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 8A2, which is to award a 2-year contract with 3 one-year renewal options to HASA Incorporated and PBS DX Incorporated for the supply of sodium hypochlorite 12.5%. That is specific. Council members, any comments or discussion? So moved. It's been moved by Councilmember Hodge, seconded by Councilmember Keating. Please vote. And that item passes 7-0. The next item under the section is 8A3, which was to award a 2-year contract with 3 one-year renewal options to CAM Group for the purchase of lime slurry. Council for discussion. Do I have a motion?
What is slurry?
It's been moved by Councilmember Keating and seconded by Vice Mayor Garland. Please vote.
Slushy. I was hoping it was slushy.
And that item passes 7-0. Once again, as we noted here, it is slurry, not slushy. The last item under the section is 8A4, which is to award a 2-year contract with 3 one-year renewal options to Chameleon Industries Incorporated and Thatcher Company of Arizona Incorporated for the supply of aluminum sulfate.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilmember Adams, seconded by Councilmember Keating. Please vote. And that item passes 7-0. The next section on the non-consent agenda is ordinances and items for introduction and first hearing. The items under the section will be read and introduced tonight, but no substantive votes will be taken. The second hearings and votes are scheduled for February 20th, 2025. So the first item under the section is 8B1, which is to introduce and hold the first public hearing to adopt a resolution for a general plan land use map amendment, land use and density map amendment from mixed use urban to industrial, adopt an ordinance for a zoning map amendment from MU4 to GID, and a development plan review for a new approximately 117,000 square foot industrial development on 6 acres for Priest and Third, located at 1400 West 3rd Street. The applicant is Gamage and Burnham. Ms. Vaz, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. For your record, Manjula Vaz, law firm of Gamage and Burnham. Just want to make a brief presentation. Happy to answer any questions. Some of you may remember this project came through so I'm going to tell you a story as I go through the project, but in 2022, it was rezoned to multifamily, the site, which I'm going to show actually really quickly. The site was rezoned to multifamily. And then after it was rezoned, we knew a little bit, but there's a restriction against residential in this area. In the CC&Rs, and so we've spent some time trying to remove that restriction, and we were unsuccessful, but sometimes things work out better for the, in the best. So the purpose of this rezoning is to go back to industrial, which I think is more consistent with certainly the area, and we'll talk about I'm here on behalf of Creation LGE, and that's something they do very well. The multifamily we were selling to a multifamily builder. are builders of both retail, which you probably all know, the Porch and the Collective, and then industrial building, they're building at Elliott and Hardy. So just briefly, Third and Priest, if you've been through it, I actually, when I need to pull over and take a call, I pull into this parking lot all the time. It's very lovely. If you need an empty parking lot to make a phone call, it's great. Anyway, so it's surrounded a lot by industrial. Looks like this, no one's in the parking lot. But what you see around there is, certainly a lot of employment in office and warehouse, and that's exactly what we are bringing here. So our application is actually kind of to reverse what happened and do a minor general plan amendment to change the site from mixed-use urban back to industrial with no residential density, take the zoning map amendment back to GID, and then do a development plan review for site and landscape plans. Again, just the general plan. But I just wanted to show you, we're going to redo the plans, make a really beautiful, warehouse, office, industrial building, bring employment and some warehouse. And actually, we've had a lot of interest in this site already. And so if you know LGE, they certainly have a strong base to bring employment. But we have 2 one-story industrial buildings, approximately 84,000 square feet of warehouse, 32,000 square feet of office. We have substantial landscape improvements and enhancements that will certainly work along that area if you've been there, and 185 vehicle parking spaces, including EV charging stations and bike parking. Very high level kind of the building, which I won't necessarily go into, but I thought some of these pictures were really nice to show in the area and kind of the type of design quality that you're getting here and what we've seen up in Priest around Rio West and certainly in that whole Rio Salado and Priest area. So really nice building rendering, certainly using some high quality material, and I know we're doing EV and working with the Green Building Code. So I'm happy to answer any questions. It's my quick presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Voss. Appreciate it. Does anyone on the council have any questions? Yes, Councilmember Adams.
Does the Porsche come with the
yes, and I'm going to bring you a Porsche.
Okay,
I'm
great.
kidding. I'll make sure. I'm kidding. I do not know why that car is there.
Okay, yeah, I just was curious. That you have lots of trees and I like the colors that you have on the building. I think it looks very professional and very Arizona. So thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Councilmember Chin.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Voss, what type do you have a client signed for this building yet? I don't think you do.
We are talking to, well, I represent LG, but we are talking to several tenants, yes.
Okay, can you give us a general idea of what type of industry will be in this area or for the building?
Yeah, it's a large employer that's coming from Phoenix, I can tell you that. That has a need for both large warehouse space and a substantial office space. So it's a type of employer, we haven't had them sign, but the type of employer that you've seen in Rio West, if you see where Carvana and Drive Time and those type of employers are, where you have kind of a mixture of that type of employment, good jobs, it's a employer that you would know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Garland.
Thank you. Hi. Hi. We were just, Councilmember Amberg and I were just in a meeting discussing and talking about Rain to Roots program the city of Tempe has. Is there a possibility that when you were looking at this, putting in this parking lot, that instead of using black asphalt, you could be using the other type of products, that you could have a nice hard surface, but it's more absorbent of the water that can go in
permanent.
after
Yeah,
rains?
I will certainly ask that question.
Okay.
And we'll come back, and I'll let you know. I don't know the answer right now, but when we come back to the next hearing, I will come back with an answer.
It'd be great if you guys are thinking about that, because that would be really smart in this area. So thank you.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Voss. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right. This is a public hearing item, so I'm going to open up the public testimony portion at this point. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on this item? If so, please get my attention. Okay, seeing none. Testimony portion of the public hearing. Council members, any further comments or questions? There's no vote this evening, but anything else? All right, hearing none, the second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for February 20th, 2025. The last item under the section is 8B1, which and hold the first public hearing to adopt an ordinance authorizing the partial abandonment of a water line easement located at a subdivision east of McCamey Road and north of Guadalupe Road for 500 West Guadalupe Road, Tempe District Office. This is also a public hearing item. If there's any public testimony on this item, please get my attention now. Oh, I said 8B2. What, I did? Okay, thank you. I meant 8B2, not 8B1. Do I need to repeat that, Mr. City Attorney, or is that fine with me just correcting the record that this is item 8B2? Thank you. All right, just once again, is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council during the public testimony portion? If so, get my attention. Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public testimony portion of the public hearing. Council members, any comments or discussion? All right, hearing none. Second and final public hearing on this item is scheduled for February 20th, 2025. Okay, the last section on the non-consent agenda is ordinances and items for second hearing and final adoption, but there are no items scheduled under this section this evening. Which then brings me to item number 9, current events, council announcements, and future agenda items. Just once again, want to note council members may also request that an agenda item be added to a future council meeting during their allotted time, but in accordance with the open meeting law, there should be no discussion on the item other than to clarify the request. So I will now call upon council members for their comments, and this evening I will start with council member Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple announcements this evening. The first announcement is Arizona Theater Company is celebrating Black History Month by presenting Blues in the Night at Tempe Center for the Arts from February 22nd through March 9th. Set in the 1930s Chicago, Blues in the Night is a musical celebration of the blues and its influence on American music. Join us for this powerful and uplifting journey as told through the hearts of 4 of our country's best actors, a live band, and a soundtrack by an array of America's greatest composers. I've secured a buy one, get 50% off discount code for tickets. So it's buy one, 50% on your second ticket. Just go to atc.org and use the code BIN Adams when you check out. If you have any questions, you can call the ATC box office at ATC SEAT. My second announcement is join Jennifer. Join me for our next Jennifer event. It will be on Tuesday, February 25th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. We will meet at the Arizona Mills Mall Food Court located at 5000 South Arizona Mills Circle in Tempe. Enter the mall through the north side of the street. It's between the Harkins Theater and the Tilt Studio. Enjoy generous snacks provided by Fruitlandia. Get a sneak peek of our brand new Mills attraction, Bubble Planet, and take home a tote bag full of Tempe souvenirs. I love to solve problems for residents, so bring your questions to me and I'll work to find an answer. Thank you, but that concludes my announcements, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Next up, Councilmember Chin. No announcements. Thank you. Next up, Councilmember Hodge.
Thank you. I just wanted to let everybody know that I had a breakfast with Burdetta, and it was an expo for enrollment for our Tempe schools. We had all 6 of our Tempe Union High Schools on display, along with all of our human services. The mixture of mixture of all the services that the schools, that the city gives to the schools. So it was a wonderful time. I want to thank the city for all the work and hard work they put into it. Thank our Chief of Staff, Chavez, and my assistant, Vanessa, for all the work they put in. Also, that we had over 389 people show up to see the different expos and what's the highlight of what the city is doing versus what the district is doing together. So that was great. Thank you. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but I went to Geneva Mosley's memorial and to give a highlight on that she was the first African-American teacher who taught in the Tempe Elementary School District. And she was also my teacher. And now the school Mosley's named after her. Just want to highlight that. And especially it's very important to me because it's Black History Month. So I wish each and every one of you a happy Black History Month because Black history is our history. So it's everybody's month. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Councilor Sandberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have 2 announcements. This Sunday is going to be Second Sunday on Mill in downtown Tempe. The event is free. It's family friendly, very dog friendly. And I'm super excited, even though I'm not going to be here to be able to go. But the theme this weekend is New Orleans, Louisiana. So it's NOLA. There's going to be a bunch of Mardi Gras themed stuff going on down there. So have fun. I was kind of if like he could play the Mardi Gras Mambo while I was talking about this, but not Erica, Jason, and I was told no. So there's going to be Find the King Cake Baby Scavenger Hunt while you're down there. There's going to be 10 mini king cake babies hidden in plain sight, not in any of the businesses. So go down there and try to find them. The grand prize winner is going to be drawn at about 2 o'clock, I think. So you're going to have to stay for that if you actually want to do that. So my second one. This weekend, I went up to Tempe High and was joined by Councilmember Hodge, who actually left her breakfast with Burdetta for a little bit to go there and then went back. So that's how busy that woman is. So for the Susie Foundation, it is a nonprofit dedicated to donating medical services, medical devices and surgeries for kids with disabilities that is not covered by their insurance. You'd actually be shocked to know how much actually is not covered by their insurance. So I had the honor of joining Tempe High's Key Club for their annual Susie Foundation Walk. It was a lot of fun. They had a lot of really cool raffle prizes. They had a photo booth, all of the kids, and it was all throughout the actual high school. So I went thinking that the walk was going to be on the track, and it actually wasn't. It was a walk around the interior of the outside of the school. So it was really very cool. And thanks to all my friends who actually would go around and do the walks with me because I kept dragging them around and making them go around. So if you missed it, there's going to be a 5K coming up. The Susie Foundation is hosting its 4th annual All Abilities 5K on February the 6th at Kiwanis Park in Tempe, starting at 9 a.m. And if you need any more information, you can go to susiefoundation.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Vice Mayor Garland. Thank you. Next up, Councilmember Keating.
No announcements, Mayor.
Thank you. That just leaves me. Only announcement I have this evening is to, I know on behalf of all of us, to wish a very happy birthday to Councilmember Chin, who celebrated a birthday this past Monday, so happy birthday. And that is my only announcement this evening. Which brings me to item number 10, public appearances. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to address the City Council? If so, please get my attention now. All right, seeing none, I will close that portion, which brings me to item number 11, adjournment. The next scheduled regular City Council meeting is February 20th, 2025. We are adjourned. Have a good night.